Welcome again, my brothers. I'm D. This is the Future Fathers FF podcast. Rose, if I sound a bit bunged up, I do apologise. Hay fever's got me carrying on, all stupid, sneezing up. I had to stop myself from pressing record like 5 minutes ago to have a fit sneezing. That is mad. Anyway, my brothers, I live in England, as a lot of you know, and it's been hot. I like it. I'm a fan of the heat. I don't mind. It must have something to do with the colour of my skin, definitely. But anyway, this week's been hot. I've had a heap of work to do. It's been a good, productive week for me. But at the same time, boy, children are a headache. And I mean that in the nicest possible way, you know. Excuse me. I mean that in the nicest possible way. Because my son got into some business. I won't explain it. And it's nothing to do with the police or anything. But you know, when they get into situations that they don't really understand, I'm just like, what is wrong with this youth? Excuse me. For those of you out there who thought, oh, D sounds like he's got two nice children. Brother, everyone has problems, you know. Everybody. You can't hide from them. Problems find you. All I'm saying is, you just have to learn how to deal with them. That's all it is. So, with that being said, we're not going to get into that, but we're going to get into keeping them on the straight and narrow. That's hard as heck, you know, my brothers. Like, no joke, keeping your children on the straight path, which they often find seems to be the slow and long path. I don't business what you think. I've lived already. I know what things is going on. You don't. It's not an easy task, you know. It really isn't. Like, I don't know what it is about other people's children that makes your own child act a fool or act stupid. Because it is other people's children. Like, you know what your child's like. And once they're around other people, then they turn stupid. For real. Like, I'm like, what? Bro, like, I don't get it. I don't. And as a parent, it's weird because I know what I was like as a youth. I'm not somebody that was, or should I say, I would like to believe, or not believe, I would like to trust in the words that I'm saying in telling you that I was not somebody that was very easily led. Anything that I did because I wanted to do it. And I'm big enough and old enough to understand that now and say, well, yeah, do you know what? Those were choices that I made. Whether I was willing to tell somebody else, oh no, you know what, so-and-so made me do it. No, they didn't. This is what I've been telling everybody in my house recently when they come to me and say, oh, I had to do this. No, you didn't. You chose to. It's a joke thing. But still, it's the truth. It is. You made a choice. You chose to do it. Nobody wasn't holding you down by your neck or you know, trying to string you up or tie you up or nothing. No. You chose to do that. Which is a lot of what our children choose to do when they leave our households. They choose to do what they feel everybody else is doing, or what they think other people might like. Yeah, it's a boiling point with peer pressure and seeing other people got things and you ain't got, or you have got, and you see other people with things that you don't have. It's like, well, I totally get that. I understand that. But as a big man, I don't business. I don't care what somebody else has got. I care what I have and making what I have better. That's what I care about. But these youths, man, I don't know what happened, because they just want everything now, and it has to be the best. Well, that's most youths all the time anyway, but still, it just come like, being young in the 90s was like you and your brethren had designer clothes and this, that and the other. Now if you ain't got X amount of followers on your Snap or your Insta or your Twitter account's not big, like, or your TikToks ain't blowing, it's like, whoa, bro, you ain't nobody. Brother, like, what? I don't understand. It's as simple as that. I really don't get it. These youths haven't lived their lives, but they're willing to put themselves in bad situations and think, oh, it's gonna be alright. Like some children, and this goes for a lot of parents out there, yeah. Something I've learned being a parent. You know when you see bad youths out on the road, or youths carrying on like they're bad, yeah. Sometimes it actually isn't the parent. Sometimes it's the choices that child makes, or that youngster makes. Because I'm not going to say child, because child determines, or not determines, but child relatively means that you've got a young child. Excuse me. I have young adult. Well, I have an adult and a young adult living in my house. So they're not children. They're my children, but they're not children, so to speak. Anyway. They make choices. They're people themselves. They want to go out and do things for themselves. So there's things they're going to do that we as their parents don't know about. Obviously, like, we're not around them 24/7. They're not babies. You don't have to hold on to them and make sure they're all right. I don't want to say should, but as parents, we should be making sure our children are in the best possible health and safety that they can possibly be in, under our guidance, and especially when they're in our households, especially then. Because what happens when you're a parent who doesn't expect certain things to be happening in your household? I'm going to give you an example. I know somebody this happened to. Yeah. Let's just say you're a parent who, let me word this properly. You're a parent who does the best you possibly can for your child, and your child still decides to go out on the street and perform tasks that they see their friends doing. Now these are males, I'm not talking about females, yeah. They want to go out and carry on like the rest of their friends that they know that live on estates, that they think it's cool to go and rob people and do things like that and hold people up. Police turn up at your front door, scenario, let's get back to it, and police turn up at your front door. How would you feel? Because as far as you know, your child don't do them things, but all of a sudden you've got this at your doorstep. Like, imagine how those parents feel. I could imagine that they're very shocked, very worried, disappointed, and maybe a little disgusted in themselves. Because as I said, you didn't know your child was like that. And any parent being put in that position is probably going to feel the feelings that I just said. Now, it's not my place to determine that. It's not my place to say, oh yeah, this is this and that is that. I'm giving you a scenario to think about. Because as I said, they're young adults. They want to experience life for themselves on their own terms. I fully get that. I was a young adult once, and now I've got 2 children. But my decision making has changed since then. and changed it again and changed it again. Growing up, you tend to learn different things. Now, I'm not going to say, oh yeah, do you know what? If I was a youth again, I'd change everything, because I wouldn't, I'll tell you that much. Because certain lessons have to be learned. If you don't go through them, then you don't know. Obviously, if you're somebody who you know your lessons taught you something, then you're going to be like, no, I wouldn't change that. But how do you go about passing on the information that you have to give somebody else a better chance at doing the same thing, just living, just existing? It's kind of hard, isn't it? Kind of hard. It's a little bit like, well, how do I convey this information? You can't really. The only way to do that is by letting life experience, or letting life be experienced. That is the only way. And advising and giving the best advice you can possibly give. There's no way to determine an outcome. There's no way for you to sit back and say, well, this is definitely going to happen. No, because you cannot guarantee that. As a parent, neither as a human being can you guarantee the outcome of any situation. You can guess. You can have a certain level of insight knowing the parameters of the situation, but you can never determine the whole situation and its outcome. And as parents, determining what our children are going to do is a bit hit and miss. You may say, oh yeah, my child wouldn't do this, or my child would do that, but once they've left the vicinity of your protection, it's unwise of us as parents to say, I know this, that, or the other. There's certain things you will be very sure of, because there's certain things I'm very sure of. But knowing, or should I say, knowing different things and seeing different situations, my brothers, I don't know if there's a lot we can actually say, oh yeah, do you know what? I know that. You know, asking questions, as I've stated in various podcasts, you know, trying to be involved in your child's life gives you an upper hand, because then you're able to say and feel confident in saying, yeah, I know this, yeah, I know that. But keeping them on a straight and narrow, as I stated in the beginning, is not an easy task. You don't want to feel like you're going through your child's life, but sometimes it's necessary. You don't want to feel like, oh, you're being hard on your youth, but sometimes it's necessary. Excuse me, I do apologize. You don't want to feel like, oh, you know what, I'm taking a mick out of my youth. No, but sometimes, well, no, that's not it. Sometimes it's necessary to be a little bit harder on your child than other people, because your child is not theirs. Your child is yours. And you can only make sure of what you know by actually knowing what you know. Especially when it comes to our children. We have to know. We have to know. So my brothers, I think the point I'm trying to push forward today is keeping them on a straight and narrow. It's not an easy task. It's a hard one. But making sure that they get to the end of that road and they feel confident in themselves, I think is the biggest achievement we can possibly imagine for. Because you give them the confidence to go further than you could imagine them going, and giving them confidence to do so. So my brothers, make sure, please, make sure they're not trying to be something that they're not. Because later on in life, as I'm sure you know, and I'm pretty sure you've seen, that don't work for long. And sometimes it doesn't even work for some people. I'm D. This is the Future Fathers FF podcast. Keep them straight. Make sure they know who they are and build their confidence. Stay blessed.